Is she a doctor playing a senator? Or a senator playing a doctor?
Let's talk about it.
Welcome to All Things Havasu with Chris Rydell and Lonnie Stevenson. It's everything you'd expect from these guys. Plus some serious interviews about Lake Havasu City. Now, All Things Havasu.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of All Things Havasu.
Special effect is pretty cool.
Had it specially made.
Just for this podcast. Who are you?
I'm Lonnie Stevenson, and who are you?
Well, my name is Chris Rydell. I'm your co-host.
With the most. Oh my gosh. Hey, we got a really cool show coming up. Talking to Kelli Ward, and before you flick it off and say, oh gosh, I don't want to listen to something political, I think you'll find the interview anything but political. And sure, she's going to share some insights to what she's gone in and experienced, but I think you'll find some things out about Kelli herself that you'll find extremely interesting.
Well, I will have to say that we were a little nervous doing this because this is the first time we've went down the road of a political type thing. And this is a fun podcast, we try to keep in good spirits, and we know that there's some politically charged stuff out there right now, so we weren't sure how to handle this because we didn't really want to get into any kind of a political debate. So we did kind of keep it simple. And I tell you, I was very pleasantly surprised. I really liked Kelli. I liked what she had to say. She sounds like a amazingly smart woman. And it was great to hear everything she had to say. And I hope you guys stick around and listen to it because it's a good show. And we've known Barb and I, my wife and I, have known Kelli for 4 years, and it was kind of cool, somebody that running for office and facing the uphill struggle that she did, being a first-time person running for office against the odds, I guess you could say, and seeing her come out on top. And if you don't follow her on Facebook, I definitely suggest that you do, because you learn quite a bit about her, and I think a few surprises. I think you'll definitely learn something about Kelli that you didn't know by listening to our podcast. Well, the biggest thing I took away was that she, whether you agree or disagree with someone's politics, you can still find someone that's really passionate and cares about people, and she really and truly cares. In fact, she even has a little slogan that you'll hear about. Yeah. That talks about that.
Too cool.
What else we got going on in Havasu?
Man, there's just all kinds of stuff coming up. I did take the boys. We went out to the races this past Saturday night and had a really nice time. It was a gorgeous evening of weather. But my boys are just really stoked about coming up April 26th, the last race of the season out at Havasu 95 Speedway. They feature a rollover competition and waterless boat races.
What's a waterless boat race?
You tie a boat to the back of your car and you run around the track, and the last one that keeps their boat behind them wins.
Now, is this boat on a trailer?
No. So
it's just a boat being dragged across the ground?
It's basically a destruction derby going around in circles with a boat.
That sounds like fun.
Oh, it's a riot. And of course, they have to do it at the last race of the season because of the extreme mess and destruction that goes on. I think it takes them a month to probably clean up all the debris.
Yeah, it sounds like that would be a mess. What's the other thing? We have the drag strip.
Oh yeah, and I know if you have been by the corner of Swanson and Lake Havasu Avenue where they had the offices for the drag strip, and see the sign down, and it looks like they've gone. They have not left. From what we've been told is they've moved actually out to the construction site and are on location there, and this thing is moving forward at speed.
Yeah, there was a little bit of rumbling that, they're gone. What's been going on? Well, that's apparently not the case. We are going to try to get with the person in charge of this and talk about this new thing that we have coming into town. And hopefully, if you're listening to the podcast and you know who that is, we know who it is actually, but we are going to get a hold of them and try to get that going.
Yep. So, and gosh, what else? I haven't heard at the skate park. They had the Pro-Am thing a week ago. From what I understand, it was an outstanding turnout, and even higher than and beat their expectations. So look for more events, and I think we got something big to announce for the skate park coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Well, that was the day that was going on when we were down at Rotary Park for my son Ian's birthday. And it's amazing that park, how big that park is, because you really couldn't tell there was something that big going on the other side of the park. But I had some family from Bullhead come down, and they were absolutely amazed at, they said, we have a Rotary Park, and it looks nothing like this Rotary Park. We're very fortunate to have the wonderful park that we have. So that's pretty cool.
Except for the bowl that they filled in. I'm still burned about that.
Oh, you don't like that they filled that bowl in?
I know. If you go there, you really don't tell the difference anymore, but how that bowl was previous, I don't know. I'm showing my true age now. Like, damn change. They filled the bowl in.
So you were down at were you down at the Zombie Fest or Zombie Fest?
No, I haven't been to the Zombie Fest. We're still going back and forth. My two boys, ages 6 and 9. We kind of want to take them down there. We just haven't yet. I'm 4 nights a week on Little League. So finding a night or time to go down has been difficult. But I did talk to Chad a couple of days ago. From what I understand, they are just couldn't be happier with the numbers and what has gone on with the zombie maze and the number of people that have gone through, the participation that the community has given them, and the outlook for future type events is very, very bright.
Well, I'm very bummed. We were supposed to go down when my daughter was here because my wife's too much of a chicken to do this. And my daughter got ill while she was here, and by the time she got better, I got ill. So we haven't been able to make it down there yet, but I'm hoping to because I love that kind of stuff.
And there's still time. It's still going on till April 12th, I believe. And
is this the last time we're going to see of the zombie? You think they might come back?
No, from nothing official yet, but they were kind of judging how this one went, if they would do future ones, especially something later on in the year, maybe more towards Halloweenish. Nothing official that I've heard has been made, but they're very pleased, and the outlook, like I said, is very bright towards doing something even bigger the next time.
I'm hoping so, because that'll be really cool.
And the Reggae Fest is coming up in a couple weeks, too.
Well,
we've got some winners picking up tickets that get to go see the Reggae Fest.
Yeah, we've had 2 of the people already... Actually, all 4 of the people have claimed their tickets. I've had 2 of them pick their tickets up. We're waiting for the other 2 people to pick them up. That was a great promotion that we did. We still have a T-shirt to give away because nobody claimed the T-shirt, so I think we're going to give that away today. Oh. So I think... What should we do? First person that comments
on the Facebook page?
The Facebook post about this podcast gets the T-shirt.
Post about this podcast, or specifically says, I want the Reggae Fest T-shirt?
Say, I want that Reggae Fest T-shirt.
Okay. And on the Facebook page. On our Facebook page, All Things Havasu.
www.facebook.com/All Things Havasu. And with that, I think we should... We should listen to our talk with Kelli.
We should get Kelli in here and get this party started.
Let's do it.
Hello, everybody, and we're here with Senator Kelli Ward, District 5. We still refer to you as freshman senator, or is that gone now?
Well, I'm glad to be here, and yes, I'm still a freshman, though I'm not the newest person in the Senate. There are actually 2 people who were appointed the second year of the 2-year session, and so I have a little bit of seniority over 2 people, but still a freshman until the end of this year.
How cool is that? Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Now, you're in District 5. For the people that aren't politically inclined, what does that include? What is District 5?
District 5 is almost all of Mojave County and all of La Paz. I was hoping they would redistrict Colorado City out of our district, but they didn't. It's still in there. So if you take a line from Colorado City down, basically everything to the west of that line is in District 5, and then all of La Paz County.
So part of Mojave County is not in your district?
Yes, just a little part, but there's not really very many people over there. Page and Fredonia used to be in our district, but now they're with the Navajo Nation. The big cities are Bullhead, Kingman, and Havasu in Mojave County, and then I've got, of course, Parker, Quartzsite, Wendon, Salome. Those are my big cities in La Paz County. So, and then all points out from there.
Well, before we get into a lot of the political stuff, let's talk a little bit about your background and your. For the people that don't know you, you started out. Before this, you were a doctor.
Yes, I still am a doctor. Yes. I'm a family physician. Our family moved here in 1999. My husband is also a physician. He's an ER guy, and my mom is a pediatrician. She's Dr. Bird, and so she's here as well. So in '99, we decided we wanted to move from Michigan, where we did our training, because it's cold, it's wintry.
It was Michigan.
Exactly. Which we loved Michigan. It was a wonderful place to train. However, we were tired of digging our mailbox out of after the snowplow went by to get our mail out of the mailbox. And so we knew we wanted to come someplace warmer. My husband is from California. We knew we wanted to be close to California because most of his family was there, but not in California. There was no desire to go back to California. And so we were searching for jobs. And Havasu actually happened to be recruiting for a family physician and an ER physician. And, that was one of the good things I thought with LifePoint. They were bringing good doctors to town. And so we took advantage of that situation. When we came out to interview, the first time we came was in July, because I told him I had never been to Lake Havasu. He had, having grown up in California, he kind of came over to the river, came to Parker when he was a teenager with his friends, and was one of those crazy California kids that was here, and it still comes today. And I said, you're not taking me from the hell of Michigan in the winter to the paradise of Arizona in the winter. I want to see it when it's at its worst. We came in July. It was 124 to 126. We took pictures down by Chagrew's in the gazebo of the thermometer.
To try to fry an egg on the sidewalk?
We didn't. We should have. We still haven't tried it yet. But we came, and really when we came here, we just thought, oh my gosh, why do they need to recruit people to come here to this paradise? The lake is beautiful. The land is beautiful. He was really worried that I wouldn't like it because I had grown up in West Virginia where it's green, and that I wouldn't love the desert beauty. But oh my gosh, I love the desert beauty still today, 15 years later. When I'm driving up the hill, I'm looking at the beautiful hills and the way, if we have clouds or we don't have clouds, and the beauty of the blue sky. And then when I'm driving down, looking at the lake and just thinking, thank goodness we got here. And what takes people so long to get out here to Lake Havasu and to Mojave County, because it is such a wonderful, wonderful place to live. So we've been here. We came as a family package, family practice, ER, and my mom is a pediatrician. My mom and I opened Lakeview Family Healthcare together as a mother-daughter practice, which was a dream come true for us, and did that for about 10 years. And then as the economy changed and as medicine changed, I started to have trouble in that practice generating enough money to actually for me to get a paycheck.
Everybody else.
Right. And you think, oh, you're a physician. I mean, you're just worrying about golf on Wednesday and where you're going on your next vacation. No. For about 2.5 years of my time in Lakeview Family Healthcare, I didn't take a paycheck myself. I just lived off my husband and his income, thank goodness. So I had a very expensive, litigious hobby, really. And so at that point, we did sell the practice to North Country, which is a community health center, and they're here in town. They're still here. And my mom works for them, Dr. Bird. She's still there. And I worked for them for about 2 years. And then as I started to think about running for office, I had to transition out of doing primary care and general family practice into working in the emergency room only, because it's impossible to run for office and run an office, I will tell you. And so that's how I've gotten to now. I just work in the ER.
I was looking at your bio and I just saw something interesting. Your mom didn't start medical school until she was 42?
Yes.
That is so awesome.
She started when she was 42. We kind of joke because that's when I started running for office, was when I was 42. So we have some kind of female midlife crisis.
Midlife crisis.
Yes, where she had been a school teacher for 16 years, elementary school, and so my whole formative years were spent in the education system. My dad was a teacher. My dad's still a teacher now. He lives in Florida. My mom was a teacher. Love education. For me, that's what got my parents. Both of my grandfathers were coal miners. So we lived in a mining camp. We, grew up in a duplex. It wasn't this silver spoon growing up time. And so my parents were the first people in their families to go to college. They both went to Fairmont State, which was a teacher college, basically. They both became teachers. And then, unfortunately, they got divorced. And at that point, my mom said, hey kids, my brother and I think I'm going to go to medical school. What do you think? And we were like, hey, if you want to go to medical school, go for it. And so it was very, very interesting to see her go through medical school. Not that much before my brother and I, because we both ended up going to medical school as well. So she graduated in 90, I graduated in 96, and he graduated in 97. So we all graduated from medical school in the 90s, and it's great to have a medical family.
But and then we transitioned into politics, but that wasn't just an overnight. You just decided one night to go into politics. That's something that's been burning in you for a while. Yes and no. I've always been involved in medical politics and politics of my profession, keeping up with what's happening. From the time I was a medical student, I was the national president of the Student Osteopathic Medical Association. Mike and I actually met through the Student Osteopathic Medical Association because he was in medical school in Missouri, I was in medical school in West Virginia, and we were both politically active. In terms of, I'll say real politics in quotes, real politics. September 11th was the thing that really woke me up to what the heck is happening in our world, because when something like that happens, our kids were little at that point, and I realized that the world that I was so blessed to grow up in was going to be much different for them, and what was happening. Because before that day, I'd just get up in the morning and I'd watch the Today Show, and I'd, read, fashion magazines and a lot of fiction books for pleasure. And after that day, I said, I have to find out what's happening in the world and in our country and in our state. And I started to read different things, listen to different radio, watch different TV shows, and try to really educate myself on what was happening. And so then I started to have more expectations for the people who represent us. I started to think, okay, I'm going to write letters, I'm going to write emails, I'm going to call people, and I'd be disappointed with what I got back, which was generally nothing, or a form letter, at least from the federal level, and every now and then some kind of a personal response to whatever was my issue of the day that I was trying to get in touch. And I throw my hands up in the air and say, what the heck, why doesn't somebody do something? Finally, I looked and said, why don't I do something? I've got skills, I've got talents, I've got abilities, and instead of just hoarding them for my family or even for my patient population, which was kind of, was rather large, there might be something that I had to offer on a bigger level. And that's why I decided to throw my hat into the ring and run for the legislature. Now, people did ask me, why did you run for the Senate first? Why didn't you run for city council or board of supervisors or school board? That was coming up on my questions.
And I was actually, I was on the school board for Calvary Christian Academy, which is a little tiny, small school board, and served as the president of that school board for a year as well. But whenever all the things that were happening with healthcare, I went down to DO Day at the legislature, so Osteopathic Medicine Day at the legislature, and Ron Gould was still there then, and he said, "Why don't you run for office?" And I said, "Well, I'm kind of thinking about it. I think I'll run for the House because there's two shots at winning, and our rep is termed out over there, so that it's a better field maybe." And he said, he basically told me to have some testosterone and run for the Senate. He said it a little different way than that. A little different way than that. But because at that point there were two very liberal representatives in the House, and that were physicians, and there were no physicians in the Senate at all. And he said, you have a conservative viewpoint, you're a physician, you'll have impact on what's happening with health policy in our state now and in the future, and we can't just let those two who have a very different perspective than I do and than he did, and then that really the majority of people in our district have the whole voice as to what is the direction that health policy should go in Arizona. And so that's why I threw my hat into the ring for the Senate. I'll tell you, it's funny because I had a consultant, even he told me I was going to lose. I will tell you, he said, it's a tough race, you're going to lose, you've got a presumed incumbent that's running against you, you've got a three-way race, it's looking dire, it looks dark, you should go in the House race. And really, I just thought, I'm running for this particular position at this particular time for a reason, so I'm going to go for it.
Well, that's awesome. So you transitioned from, obviously you're still a doctor, as you said, and you still do your ER doctor, but you transitioned into politics. So now, do you consider yourself a doctor with a passion for politics or a senator with a passion for medicine?
Both. It's funny because people ask me all the time, "Oh, should we call you Dr. Ward or Senator Ward?" And really, my preference is just call me Kelli, because that's been my name for my whole life, and that's really what I identify with. I'm glad I have the skills that I have being a doctor. It's a wonderful, noble profession that I think is misunderstood by a lot of people. They don't understand what it takes to become a doctor or what it takes to be a doctor. But it is wonderful, and I'm glad that I was blessed with the ability to make it through medical school, make it through residency training, and become a great doctor. I really enjoy still my patients. Next month I'll be back in the ER again, hopefully, as long as we're out of the session.
That just seems to me, an ER doctor, that just seems to be insanity to me. Just is adrenaline, it has to be just...
Well,
so different from your family practice.
Yes. Well, there's differences and similarities, and really I was afraid that I wouldn't like being in the ER because, I trained to be a family doctor for a reason, because I love taking care of the whole family, all age ranges, for their whole lives, and developing those relationships and seeing people at Safeway or Walmart, and they come up and I just give them a hug because I'm so glad to see them because they're part of my life. Really as a family physician, they become part of your extended family. And so in the ER, you don't have that relationship building time, and generally you're seeing people under stress and under duress. The nice thing for me is that I call it the mid shift. We call it the mid shift. So there's always a board certified, emergency trained physician that's with me whenever I work. So I'll see people that come in from the lake and they've got a prop chop, or somebody who's, jumped off the top of their houseboat but landed on the bottom deck instead of in the water. And I'm like, oh, your patients are here. I see more the sick kids, the sick older people, people with rashes, people with broken bones, the things that I really could see in my office, but I'm seeing in a more acute setting. So it's a nice mix. For me, and I really do like it. I love to be able to keep my medical mind sharp while I'm able to serve in the political arena as well.
Awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about your politics and what you stand for, and what bill or other political achievement are you most proud of so far? I know you've only been you're a freshman still. But...
I'm still a freshman. Well, last year it was funny because last year I only had 2 bills. I had one firearms protection, the Firearms Freedom Act, or the Second Amendment Protection Act, and that one went through the Senate committees, but when it got to the committee of the whole, I wasn't able to get enough Republican support really to let that go through, because there are some moderates down there who would vote against that, and all the Democrats were going to vote against it anyway. So that one didn't even get a hearing on the floor, which was kind of disappointing, because I was excited for it, and people here were excited for it. I was asked by Senate staff to sponsor a music therapy licensure bill, and I kind of called it my snipe hunt, really, because music therapy wasn't something I was passionate about, but there's a group of people who are professionals who are trained at either a bachelor's, master's, or PhD level as music therapists, and there are many facilities in Arizona who don't allow them to work there, like some of our university hospitals and things like that. And so they wanted to become licensed to be able to work in those facilities.
What is a music therapist?
A music therapist is basically, they use music to heal. They use it for various things, autism. They use it a lot of times in hospice situations. They use it in the hospital in some places too. And so I shepherded that bill through, and it did teach me a lot of the process, because I had never done it before. But ultimately, it was vetoed by the governor. It was during the Medicaid expansion fight, and a lot of bills were vetoed during that time, especially for the people who were against Medicaid expansion, and I was one of those. And so I'm most proud for the work that we did with Medicaid expansion, trying to stop it, even though we were unsuccessful. This year I have a lot of bills as well. I'm still hopeful that some of those will go through. I've got right now there's a moratorium going on with our bills. There was an article just today or yesterday in the Capital Times. There's been about 1,200 bills introduced from both the House and the Senate. Of those, there's only been 6 bills signed into law by the governor, and 1 bill vetoed by the governor so far. Now, she's put a moratorium. First, it was kind of a quiet moratorium, but now it's a public moratorium that if we send her any bills, she's going to veto them until she gets a budget that she finds acceptable. And so the Senate has passed the budget 2 times. It's back in the House's court right now. I kind of wish that we could still be working on things, but we aren't doing our final read, our third read that would make it go to the governor's office, and she would have 5 days to act on them. We're doing a lot of committee of the whole, which is where things are amended and things are debated on the floor. We're doing caucus, where committees are basically over now in terms of Senate and House committees. So all the bills are there. They're just kind of in a holding pattern until we get this budget.
So it seems to be a lot of waiting.
Yes.
Did you realize that going in? I mean, did you realize what you were getting into? I mean, it seems like you do a lot of work, but then you wait and you wait and you wait, and
yes,
it's frustrating sometimes.
It does, because I mean, in medicine we want to just find it, fix it, leave it alone. Find it, fix it, leave it alone. Yeah. And down there it's more find it, try to fix it. It might take several years,
tweak it a little
and
bit.
Never leave it alone. And so it is. There are some weeks where we have very, very long days where you're going from 7 a.m. till the middle of the night. It seems like the House has a lot more of that, but there are 60 of them compared to 30 of us. And I always joke that the House has all the young people. I mean, they have some people that are not super young, but I said they have the stamina over there. If they told us we had to be there till 4 a.m, I think half the people would be asleep at their desk because we're the older chamber as well as the upper chamber, supposedly. And and then there are other days where we just go to floor at 1:30. We check in, we say a prayer and the pledge, introduce guests in the gallery, and then gavel out again. During that time, I do have a lot of meetings with constituents and a lot of meetings with groups who are interested about bills that are still in the queue. And so they're trying to provide education during that time. So it's not like you just sit around doing nothing. I mean, there's a lot still to do. I just think we could get out quicker if...
The meat and potatoes aren't being done.
Yes. So, and another bill that I wanted to talk about a little bit was 1404, Senate Bill 1404. It is a free market bill, and it's close to my heart because it's about direct primary care. There's a group in Show Low. There are other groups also throughout the state, but this is the group that mainly is bringing it. They are trying to provide an alternative to people who aren't able to afford insurance, even through Obamacare or through the exchange, or who choose to not have that kind of insurance but still need health care. And so they offer that care for $69 a month if you're under 40, $89 a month if you're over 40, and if you have a family, no matter how many kids you have, it's $159 a month. And then they provide all the care that a family practice person can do. They do all the well child checks. They do all the immunizations. They do well woman checks, well man checks, sick visits, managing chronic diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, thyroid, back pain, those kind of things. If somebody cuts themselves and they need stitches, they'll do those sutures in their office. If someone breaks their arm or their leg, they can do their cast for them in their office. And that's all included in that price that they pay.
Is this based upon your income, or is this anybody can get it?
Anyone can get it. Generally, and it's in Show Low, so it's one of the poorer parts of the state. Many of those people cannot. They're the working class of our state. They can't afford to buy an insurance policy for $400 or $500 a month with a several $1,000s in deductible. So this allows them to have the care that they need without having to purchase something that they don't want or don't feel that they need. And so
the state's trying to regulate that and say,
right. So,
that's insurance and we want to regulate it.
Yes. So the reason I had to bring the bill is that the Department of Insurance saw this particular group's website. They didn't ever talk to the people that are having it. They didn't talk to anybody. They just saw the website and they decided that they were having their own little mini HMO and that they should regulate them. And so my bill is striving to keep the Department of Insurance out of their particular building or business and allow them to just let the free market work and let people buy what they want. And I think it's important because more and more physicians may want to provide that kind of care to their patients, and more patients may want to purchase that as a way to have care without having to pay into the insurance pool. Now, those people are also encouraged to have a major medical or a catastrophic care type of policy so that if they get in a car accident or they get cancer or they get pregnant even, they will have coverage for those very expensive kinds of medical care that, are difficult to get for $69 a month. And so I'm hopeful that it'll go through. It went through the Senate without a problem. It's over in the House. It passed the House Health Committee. There are some people who have some concerns. The Democrats in particular have some concerns because they worry about consumer protection, that the people aren't going to know what they're actually buying. And so we as the government need to protect them from themselves because they may be unable to understand that what they're actually purchasing. Or if one of the doctors were to leave, how will they get their care? So, basically, they still the patients have the choice. if this month your doctor's here and then they leave, then you just don't have to pay your $69 or your $89, and you can go to whoever you want to outside the system. So I'm hoping that'll pass. We also had Representative Carter and Representative Brophy McGee, who are Republicans, have some concerns about the financial model. And I don't know. I'm hopeful that they'll get over those concerns, and we can get
that's a viable business. I mean, it's a for-profit company that charges per month rather than, so it's not subsidized by any government funds. It's
right,
and they can actually make a profit doing it.
Well, I've never seen their books, but I know that they also are caring, compassionate people who are part of that community and want to take care of people there, people who aren't able to be taken care of at this time under the models that currently exist. And so I want to be able to protect that. I want to be able to protect the free market. I want to give people liberty and freedom to have the kind of health care they want, and doctors and healthcare providers to provide that kind of care if they have the market.
So how would that work, though? If they're required to get insurance through Obamacare and they don't, and are they doing this instead, or are they doing this on top of?
I think many of them are doing it instead and opting to pay the fine.
Right.
Because even, if they had to pay $95 or even 1% of their income, it's less than having to pay for $500 a month for something that they don't want or need.
Right. Well, that to me sounds like
so I'm keeping my fingers crossed, because if that one goes through, I'm going to be really proud that
sign me up for that. $69,
yes.
$150 a month for your family.
$159.
Wow!
But you got to go to show
Let's move to show.
You've been involved, according to your profile, involved in 71 bills so far?
Well, you counted them up. I don't know.
That's incredible.
Yes. Well, I'm going to tell you. Let me tell you about that, because so last year, whenever I started, it's really trial by fire and learn on the job quickly. People have described it as drinking from a fire hose, and so what happens is people drop their bills. Before they drop their bills, everybody's walking around with a folder with their bill with the basic explanation, and you go around and you try to get other people that are like-minded to sign on with you. So you want to have more people on, because the more people you have on at the beginning, the more support you have to start with. And so last year, I was learning the ropes, really. And so people would say, hey, do you want to sign on? And I'd learn a little bit about it, and I'd sign on as a co-sponsor. So this year, I told myself I'm not going to sign on to that many bills. I don't want to have to follow their bills, and I don't want to sign on. But it's very hard when people come up and say, "Hey, I've got this great bill," and really, it sounds like really good policy to say no, unless you just say no to everybody. And so I still signed on to a lot of bills. I think I had 30 bills of my own that I was the prime sponsor of this year, which was a lot. There are other people who have more than that. Gail Griffin is a senator. She's been there for years. She always has the most. She had more than I did. John Kavanaugh on the House side had a lot of bills. Because they're not all going to go through. Many of mine were constituent driven, and I'm not afraid to have constituent driven bills. So if people have ideas and they think that they're great, and people always say there ought to be a law. Well, if you think there ought to be a law, contact me and we'll try to see if we can craft something.
So what is sponsoring a bill? What does that mean?
Basically, if you're the prime sponsor or the prime, so that means it's my bill, and I'm trying to get other people to sign on with me, and I'm responsible for following that bill through the whole process to get it to, basically be the cheerleader for that bill and the champion for that bill. So
who writes the language for the bill?
Different people can write it. I can write my own language. Usually I'll try to write out if it's a constituent-driven bill, I'll try to get the constituent and I to kind of sit down and write some basic language. We usually send it to Legislative Council, which is a group of lawyers who basically write law that conforms to the language that's necessary for Arizona statute. And so I'll write something basic and then say, here's what I want to do. Now put it into the right language. They send it back as a draft. I look at it to see if it's really going to accomplish what we want it to accomplish. It might have to go back and forth a few times. Other times there are groups and organizations, the agencies like Department of Insurance, Department of Education, Department of Water Quality. All of those people also have agency bills in terms of cleaning up current statute to try to be able to conform with what they want to do or to match up with federal regulations that are required. So there are always those agency bills as well that they're bringing to us. And then, of course, outside groups, groups like the 10th Amendment Center, NRA, all of those groups, Sierra Club, both sides of the aisle, they have groups that have model legislation that they want brought in in all the states if they can get it, and if they can get a sponsor, then people can bring it. And so we basically follow it through. We see it get to a committee in our own chamber, then we urge the other body to hear it in a committee. If it only gets single assigned to one committee, it has a lot better chance of getting through than if it gets double or triple assigned.
Too many hands in the pot.
If it's triple assigned, you can tell that that's a bill that either the Senate president or the speaker really doesn't want to go through, because it's hard to get through 3 committees and pass. So you just kind of champion it through and have meetings with people, have stakeholders meetings about that particular bill to get input from all sides, and not just hear from one side. You want to hear from all the sides. I had a bill this year, 1156, which was the Fourth Amendment Protection Act, which everybody is on board with the right to privacy and that the government shouldn't be doing warrantless searches on our cell phones and on our private information on law-abiding citizens. And so, but it really generated a lot of controversy. Businesses were upset, the agencies were upset because they thought they wouldn't be able to transmit our state information to the federal government to get our federal money back. And businesses are saying, well, the federal government is putting these rules on us and we can't have the state and the federal government having warring or conflicting rules because that's too hard on us, and we'll be breaking either federal law or state law if you pass this kind of thing. Law enforcement says we must be able to get that information because what if there's a terrorist attack and we could stop it but we can't get a warrant? Like, I think if it's that dire, you're going to get a warrant pretty quickly. Yeah. And so I'm still working on that. It died in rules. Well, I think it actually passed rules, but it never came to the floor for a committee of the whole to debate it. But I'm going to still keep working on that because I think technology has surpassed what our current laws are. So we're able to do a lot with technology. You guys know you're able to do a lot with technology, and our laws haven't quite matched up with what we're able to do and what we should do. You,
being new to the system, so to speak. Yes. You had probably some preconceived ideas of some of the people that you're going to go work with. Now that you're there, anybody that you thought would be a jerk to work with ended up maybe being more of a friend? Right.
Well, I really didn't know many of the people who were down there other than Ron and Nancy and Doris. The other legislators, I didn't really know. I mean, I knew them because they were ours. And so I tried not to have any preconceived notions. I think that one of the things that surprised me was how little people in the Senate know about people in the House. Really? From either party, even Republicans and Democrats with Democrats, and how much between the parties, how much of a divide there is between the Republicans and the Democrats. And that's one thing, actually, I've been trying to work on with one of the Democrats from the House. Her name's Victoria Steele, and she's from Tucson, and she and I went to the Council of State Governments Western Legislative Academy, which is a leadership type academy that only 3 people get chosen from each of the Western states, 13 Western states, to attend, and it was great. And so we've been trying to work on getting people from across the bodies and across the aisles to know each other as people and get to know each other, know what your families do, where do you live, what kind of things do you like to do, rather than just having that head hitting of the politics where, oh, you're a Democrat, it must be wrong. Oh, you're a Republican, it must be wrong.
That's awesome.
And so we're working on that to try to build friendships, really, because the more you know each other, most of the laws that we pass that actually get signed into law by the governor are 85 to 90% bipartisan, complete support from everybody. It's only the only ones you hear about in the press are the controversial ones where we're against each other, because really we do a lot of things together. That's the only way to do a good job for the state, is to work together and not shut your mind to ideas just because they came from somewhere.
You're very involved in social media, Facebook.
Yes.
Is that actually you doing that, or do you have an assistant?
Yeah. No, it's me. So if I do something wrong, it's all me. I take full responsibility for anything I say on there. I think that's really important. I think that the connections that I've made on Facebook and not as much on Twitter. Twitter, it's harder to make a connection. It's more about generating a conversation. Where on Facebook, I mean, I really have a lot of people who are my friends now, and I meet them out I meet them in person many times, people in the district, and it's awesome because you already feel like you know them. They'll come up and just throw a hug on you. You're like, oh, so good to meet you in person, and I do really like that. I think one of the things that makes me a little bit different is that I do it myself. I'm sure that there are other people who do it themselves as well, but I always answer my messages. There are people who send me Facebook messages with things that need to be addressed at the legislative level, and I'll say, just send me an email to my Senate email so I can get the right people involved and make that connection for you with an agency or with an organization that can actually help with their problem. And I mean, I see that as one of my big roles at being in state government, is connecting people with people within the state, but also with our federal delegation. And I'll tell you that Paul Gosar's office has done an amazing job. Anytime I have an issue that really is a federal issue, because I mean, people ask us things all the time that you think, okay, I can't help you with that, but that's a federal thing. I'll contact their office. They get right with the people from our district, and it's great to have those relationships.
We'll be spending next Saturday with Mr. Gosar.
All right.
The tour bus, the campaign bus, that been retired, or is that in a museum somewhere?
It should be.
In the hangar?
It's actually in a storage bin, and I wasn't here
still
when
got the paint.
It still got the sticker on there. It's a sticker from Max Signs. I'll give Max Signs a shout out because they had never done an RV like that before, and it is beautiful still. It looks great. It's an 87 pace Aero. It's not some state of the art machine. So it sometimes down the road, and so it's in storage until we'll get it out for the summer. We'll start driving it around again. And I loved that we had people sign it because it really got people engaged in the campaign, and they took ownership of my campaign themselves. And I thought that was great. And we'll be back out on the road with it as long as it runs.
Very good. And Katie, down in Chile, everything's good?
Yes, our daughter's an exchange student through Rotary. She's been in Chile since August, and she'll come back in June in time to go to ASU.
Wasn't near the big quake, anything that
she was.
her?
Actually, my whole family's there right now. My husband, my son, my mom, and my husband's mom. They're all down there visiting Katie because tomorrow's her 18th birthday.
Oh, happy birthday!
Yeah, happy birthday,
Happy birthday, Katie.
So I'm here doing my Senate job. And I'm jealous that they're all there. But they had an earthquake today. I talked to them this morning. It was like a 6.2.
Oh, just a 6.
Just a 6. And it was about 60 miles away, and so they kind of felt that rolling earthquake feel. It's pretty. There's a lot of tectonic activity going on down there right now,
creepy
and here too.
All over, just seems to be a lot of
Yeah. But so far everybody's safe, and she's learning Spanish, which is amazing. Her Spanish, she's completely fluent. I think to learn Spanish, you actually need to be immersed like that for a longer period of time, if possible.
And I saw on one of your blogs you were talking about the importance of learning a second language, and that is something that we don't do here in America, as most of the other world does.
Yes. Well, I mean, I took 7 years of Spanish from junior high through college, and so I feel like I should be fluent, but I'm not. I'm doing Rosetta Stone now. I do it. I do Duolingo on my phone all the time, trying to get better. And so I'm hopeful whenever she gets home, I'll actually be able to have some conversations with her. She'll bear with me with my bad Spanish, with her good Spanish, and continue to try to learn. I mean, I can understand a lot of Spanish. It's just getting it out vocally that I struggle with, and I think that's what everyone struggles with, is the fear of sounding stupid. And so you just have to get rid of that fear and just do it.
Well, this has been the most interesting thing. I mean, this podcast, I've learned a lot. It's we do a lot of different varied stuff. This is the first podcast we've done of this nature, and this has been just eye-opening to me and a very, very great learning experience. What, you want to ask another question? Go for it.
No, we'll save that for next time.
Yeah, change for next time. I hope everybody will join me on social media. My Facebook is Kelli Ward 4 Arizona 4, and it's Kelly with an I because I care about the people. My little plug. Of course, you can always do a friend request too, but you can follow along. And then Twitter, it's at Kelli Ward AZ. Kelly with an I. I care about the people. And, well, Kelli with a Y Ward is part of the DNC. And so it's confusing because, you don't want to go to the wrong one. And
so people can sign your petition right now, too.
Well, they could. I'm now full. I maxed out my electronic petition.
Well, I hope mine was the one that pushed you over the top.
Hey, I appreciate it. It's awesome to be able to do that. I hope more and more people take advantage of it because those signatures are already verified. They're already in the right party. They're already in the right district, and so I got half my signatures on online, and now I think I have the minimum already. I just want to get closer to the maximum on the written one. So
well, awesome. So anything that we didn't talk about today that you want to touch on before we?
Just remember to support your candidates, whether it's with your time or your dollars. People complain all the time about big corporations owning politics. The only way you can take ownership of that is to get involved yourself. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, get involved. Understand what the issues are. Connect with someone. They're always, all of us who are running for office or in office are always glad to have people who want to help out and want to help spread the word about what we're trying to do. So get involved. Donate to your favorite candidate, and don't just sit back and complain about something that's happening to you. Get involved and make something happening that's good for all of us.
Well, that's awesome.
Very good.
We really, really appreciate your time today. This was absolutely fantastic. We would love to have you back.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I look forward to coming back.
Well, all right.
Well,
folks,
with that, it's wrapped up another edition of All Things Havasu, brought to you by the Lonnie Stevenson Mortgage Team. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing your home, we're here to help. Give us a call, 928-716-6723.
And your friends at Chicago Title. For all of your title and escrow needs, you can reach us at 928-855-4196. We will not be releasing a podcast next week because we're going to have a short week because we'll be at our sales rally in Vegas, so we probably won't be able to release one next week, but we will be following up the following week. So we will talk to you guys all in about 2 weeks.
Or we could do it remotely from the
You know what?
destination
We could
to
try
be
that.
determined. Yeah.
We might surprise you. Have a nice week, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.